Hello, everybody. Can we hear me? It's been a while since I've done a panel, so hopefully this goes smoothly. Um, I'm here to talk about sustainable cosplay because, well, you'll see later in the slideshow here, but it's a craft that we do that can be pretty wasteful, and there's ways to work around that. Um, to introduce myself real quick, I used to be called Kudrell. Most of you know me as Kudrell or Cuckoo or Cuckoozilla. Now go by Shrouded Scales. Um, yeah, and I'm really passionate about being environmentally friendly as much as possible. So I wanted to throw this together. Let's get started. So what is sustainability? The official Google definition: concept of maintaining a level of conscious avoidance of the depletion of resources in order to maintain ecological balance. Translated to nerd, making eco-friendly decisions when exploring our resources and materials for our fandom expression. And this was just a random thing I found online. Okay, well, so yeah, resourcefulness, innovative ways, versatile ways to use your available stash. Creativity, thinking outside the box. There's no rules when it comes to the creative process, no right or wrong way to make something. So the possibilities are endless. You just got to really, expand on that. And forethought is very important because careful consideration for every step will open up your crafting floor to more options and ideas. If you really plan everything out from start to finish, it's going to help you, look for what you can use. Like if you're out and about and you see something like, oh, that'll be perfect for this, and you'll only end up getting everything you need for your project without, overspending or getting more supplies than are necessary. So yeah, knowing your stash, very important. Have like a full like inventory of everything you have, all your fabrics, your scraps, like how much of them you have, all your wigs, all your footwear, um, all your other type of materials like your plastics and your foams. Just have a really good inventory. So, and then you'll be able to go through that as your first step when you're making your costumes. So, do you have scraps to make smaller pieces? Like if you have to just do like a little belt or make some little gloves or a little scarf, maybe you already have something in your stash that will be perfect for that, and you won't have to like go buy more stuff. Do you have fabric that would work if you dyed it? Or like to have something that's already going to have like the right kind of billow or thickness to it or structure. It just needs to be a different color. That's an option. Um, do you have fabric you'll never use and you could just use it to do a mock-up instead? Do you have a wig that you can just restyle or dye or both? And do you have footwear that you can make a pair of boot covers for? And then you can reuse those same footwear for several different costumes just by making a different pair of boot covers for each one. Some ideas. I got a few pictures here that are really fun that I found online of different ways to use your scrap fabric. I thought these were cool. Scrap fabric feathers. Seems fairly easy to do. It looks like you just need to put like a thick seam right down the middle and then like fray your fabric. Obviously, this will only work with certain types of fabric. Um, but you could also use, say, if you had like a stash of vinyl, you could cut out simple feathers and then trim like your own little lines in it. So yeah, I think using your fabric for stuff like that. Another example, these cute little like flowers. And this also gives you a chance to use like any spare buttons you have lying around. I guess you could also do this with like ribbons and things like that if you have them in your stash, or like beads. Just get like really creative with everything you've got. Uh, then you want to scavenge materials. So from now, like nowadays, I try to go to thrift stores as like my first stop when looking for things. So I'll have my list of what I'm looking for, and I'll look for old curtains, sheets, tablecloths, things I can use. Like if I find something that's the right color, and the right like structure. Maybe I can just use that for the costume itself, or use it for mock-up patterning. Um, Finding old clothing in the stores that is like close to what you want, and then just altering it or deconstructing it to make your patterns. That's actually how I taught myself how to read patterns. Well, before I learned how to read patterns, I taught myself how to sew by deconstructing clothes and try seeing out the pieces. Other ways you can use old clothes is, say you're looking for some like leather, find like an old coat, an old leather coat that you can just like tear apart and use the fabric for, or like an old couch, um, even like an old pair of pants you could use to make like a pair of boot covers. I've done that a few times. Um, yeah, things like that. Maybe an old dress, like I've used old bridesmaids dress because they have beautiful fabric, and just taken those apart and made something else out of it. And then let's see, repurposing hardware for old clothes and accessories. So things like your zippers, the laces on boots. I tend to use those quite often to make my own piping when I need it. Um, Old buckles from belts and things like that, old snaps, just like any hardware. And it's like you have old clothes in your thing in your own stash that you don't wear anymore, but you could still use for other things. And then upcycling literal trash to make something cool. Pretty self-explanatory. Harvesting couches for leather is cathartic. I imagine it would be. So here's a little portion of the cuckoo hoard, my stash. So this is all like stuff from old bras, like the elastics and the padding from inside. Um, I've got some grommets from old boots, old stud boots, studs from old belts, buckles from all kinds of old boots and belts, like old purses. So this is just like a little portion of my stash. So you do become a bit of a pack rat, but if you are really on it, keeping it organized, it's not so bad. So much old horse tack. What is horse tack? Buttons and elastic waistbands. Yes, absolutely. Lots of buttons. And you'll always get spare buttons with like some of your clothes too. There's no shortage of buttons ever. I don't think I've ever actually bought buttons in my life. Oh. Okay, so here's some more examples of things. Oh, I skipped one. How do I go back? Can I go back? Sorry, guys. See if I can go back here. There we go. It's a little delayed. There we go. Okay. So here we have some like examples of using trash to make parts of your costumes. We have like a wig base made out of plastic bottles and masking tape. This was not me. This was her name is Miss Taurus Cosplay, and she used this to make a super cool gravity defying wig that was for a character from Expedition 33. If you go to Miss Taurus Cosplay on Instagram, you can see like the finished version. It's really freaking cool. The one in the middle is this was for my Sakizo cosplay that I didn't get done for G-Anime. It's my pannier that I just made out of old coat hangers, some scrap, like a scrap old sheet that I didn't need anymore, and a bit of like foam along the edges just to get the structure. It looks really janky. It looks ridiculous, but once the fabric was like on top, it looked fine. Like you couldn't tell that it wasn't a real pannier. And then another example I found online of just like some cool chainmail made out of pop can tabs. I have a partner who my old shit take apart and use for costumes this year with to help with structure. Leather straps, halters, yeah. Okay, yeah, that kind of stuff. Yeah, so like real leather, the good strong stuff. Okay, so here's some of my more recent projects. So this is a skirt from my most recent costume that was finished. I literally found the perfect colored curtain and used it for the skirt. And it already had like the perfect draping and everything. And it was just I had a corset over it, so you didn't see any of these like weird ruffles. It just worked out so well. And then this is a prop that I'm working on with EVA foam. I used the entire sheet of 3x4 EVA foam to make this, and I kept every single piece. Like not a single scrap went in the garbage. Every piece that was like left over after making all the spikes and stuff, I rolled into a ball, which you can see in the top corner, and glued it all together. And I shoved it inside the hammer on the opposite side to balance the weight, basically. And it worked pretty well. Next panel. It's another little cool thing I saw online. Some trash art. This is literally little flowers made out of plastic bottles. And I think I'm gonna have to try this out because it's super cool looking. And like these would be like super strong. Well, I'm like so early. Like this is like my last slide pretty much. Other ways to be sustainable. Fabric swaps. Share and sharing and borrowing. Like so do trades with other cosplayers, other crafters, and see what anything that you don't need anymore, maybe they'll be able to use. I think we should get back to like organizing fabric swaps at conventions. Reuse or borrowing like each other's wigs or shoes or anything like that as well. Using reusable makeup wipes. I've heard that's a thing, and then you don't have much garbage. And we know we go through a lot of those. Using those bags that we get now from the grocery stores, the reusable ones. We all have like a huge stash of those. Let's be real, because we go shopping and we forget them and we bring home more. So we have a bunch. Those make really great. Like you can tear those apart and use them for things like interfacing or your mock-up patterns, things like that, or just like little patterns for whatever. Just really thinking outside the box, right? Of course, supporting small businesses. If you can avoid it, don't buy your fabric supplies on Amazon or your costume supplies. And the last thing, re-wearing costumes as much as possible. Like if you have costumes, you can like rework different pieces of it and just rewear it as many times as you can. Maybe, change it up, upgrade it, add new stuff. Dangerous Ladies in Toronto do cosplay garage sales. Yeah, amazing. We need something like that here in Ottawa too. In my area, there are cosplay swap events where you can take unused materials, old cosplays, trade them with other cosplayers. That's great. Yes, we need all of this, all the fabric swaps. If you can avoid it, don't buy anything on Amazon. Absolutely. Yeah. Any questions before we go to the interactive part of this? I know I went through that really fast. I rambled. You're heading to a convention, and in a few days, you've run out of blank to make blank. What could you salvage or scavenge? I think was the word I was supposed to use there. From your household or recycling to make the thing. First one, JoJo scarf. What would you use to make a JoJo scarf? Or actually, you can look at any of these things that are here and like tell me what you would use to make it last minute. You can't go out and buy anything. You got to use what you got. You can use cardboard. You can use old coat hangers, old clothes. Actually, for the JoJo scarf, I would probably do the thing with the reusable bags and like cut strips into those. And that stuff actually you can like paint it pretty well. So you could like paint the stripes on it and then add a bit of coat hanger to like give it some cool shape. Zelda crown you could easily do out of like an old cereal box. and some like glue. Cardboard for Zelda, yeah. Pop bottle plastic, yeah, to make like the little leaves on it. Always have a hoard of scraps from dollar store, craft foam. Yeah, yeah, I have a huge stash of foam, like a whole bin of scrap foam. So I'm never short on that. Uh, Corrugated has structure in cereal boxes for the skin. Yes, I think if you layer cardboard a certain way, it makes it much stronger. Margarine container would be good too. Oh, that's a good one. It's already got the round shape you need. Bane mask. I was thinking like you could use straws, the bendy straws for like the front of it, and then like an old uh, like mason jar or like peanut butter jar for like the front piece. When it comes to like post-apocalyptic stuff, like you can use pretty much anything, um, like any little pop bottle caps and things like that. Get like super creative. Um, oh, I just thought of something. I've seen people use pop bottles, the like actual screw part, like where the lid goes on. You can cut just that off and use it with the cap to screw on and like join different pieces of a prop together so that it's more mobile. Oh yeah, that would be good for wigs too. The little the bottle cap things. The old curtain tablecloth for the JoJo scarf. Yep, absolutely. Pop bottles as visors. Oh yeah, totally. You guys got this. Da, da, da. I had originally planned to add like uh, stats about waste, but I didn't think we'd have time. So if you guys would like to hear some facts about how bad it is, the textile production being one of the top sources of that ends up in landfills. Here's some statistics for you. We discard Canadians about 500,000 tons of clothing and household textiles a year. Global textile industry generates roughly 92 million tons of waste annually, driven by fast fashion overproduction and low recycling rates. Um, Fast fashion has definitely kind of crawled its way into cosplay as well. And then production waste. 10% of materials are lost during garment manufacturing, such as like the fabric scraps, the offcuts they call it, and dead stock. Just to give you ideas of like how it's how bad it is. I think because you can buy costumes, so there's not attachment anymore. Oh yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I understand like sometimes you want to be a character and you don't want to have to like do all the work making it, which is fine. What are your thoughts on the culture of always bringing new costumes? Oof, that's probably one of the most wasteful parts of it. It's everyone thinks they have to have a new outfit every convention and then like one or two outfits a day, which is like insane. I don't understand. um it it really is like a wasteful thing. It's very fast fashion. That's how I see it. And I think it's okay to have like a cycle of costumes that you can go through, um and just like keep re-wearing, but change it up every couple events. Nothing wrong with that. Not a question, but another point I have is you can also reuse parts of some cosplays for other cosplays, etc. If you have characters that have the same skirt. Yes, that was a point I had intended to make and totally forgot. So thank you for saying that. Thank you for bringing that up. You can absolutely use old costume pieces. I actually am doing a project right now Or I have an old, I wonder if I can find it. Oh, I can't reach it right now. Um, but I made a collar out of foam for a costume that I never ended up finishing. So I've been recycling that collar to make something for a new costume. Welcome, new people. You missed the stream. I'm sorry. Fedhili, yes, it is my jam too. You get it. You understand. If your cosplay girlfriend needs to use the bathroom and asks you to hold her purse, how do you indicate to passerbys that it's not your purse? Yeah, we know this. No, they're here for discussion. Yeah, we can turn this into a discussion. Cora cosplay right now, but I'm using the pants and armband I have from Katara. Yeah, that totally works. And hey, if you have like old clothes that you don't generally wear, um, you could do like closet cosplays of characters instead of doing like a full on outfit. Do a closet version. Strike a pose. Black Canary and Yennefer. Oh, Black Canary necklace for Yennefer. Ooh. How to dye real fur so I can use an old fur jacket. There is a way. I'm pretty sure. I don't know offhand, but I'm sure there's a way. You have to ask some furries about that one. Sleeves became boot toppers to act as her matching socks. For Kay Faraday. The sleeves were too long. Um, Currently putting on a full cardboard Mandalorian. Hell yeah. I'm excited to see that. Oh, acrylic paint for fur? Really? It's that easy, apparently. Okay. So the person that asked about the fur, is it real fur or fake? Because if it's fake fur, you can use acrylic paint. Masquerade costume was mostly thrifted. I should do that and make inventory checklist. Yes, 100%. If you want tips on how to do like how to sort your stuff, I sort of separate all the different types of little trinkets and things I have. So like you saw there, I had a little thing of bra straps and things like that, and then I had all the buckles and things. So like separated by like the type of thing you would need. So is something for sewing or is it something for hardware? Have it split like that, and then have your fabrics separated by color. I find is easier because like if you have a certain costume coming up and you need like a specific color, it's easier to like go through and see what you have. And then also by type. So like if you have a bunch of different uh, stretch fabrics, try to keep them together. If you have different vinyls, keep them together because you're probably going to use that for the similar projects. Let's see, most competition cosplayers are thrifted materials. Da, da. You can probably use regular fabric dyes for fur or sharpies. I was thinking sharpies, yeah, and you can use sharpies to dye fabrics, like mostly faker fabrics, um, and wigs. That was the way we used to do it back in the day. Oh, one of my masquerade entries, I redesigned and used parts of an old cosplay. Amazing, I love it. Back in the day when we had just sharpies to dye our wigs and none of that fancy warbler stuff. Warbler is also great if you can get your hands on that because you can reuse that stuff and like use all of the scraps, every little bit of it. Well, I usually do Valley Village as like my first stop, and I'll go to several different ones because you never know what you're going to find, and every store is going to have different stuff. So if you have like a few in your city, try to give yourself like a day or whatever and adventure to all of them to see what they have. And it would help sometimes to have yourself a little list before you go so that you're not like getting a little overwhelmed. You know, look for just like one or two things at once and go to each store and look for that specific thing. Da-da, Goodwill. Will it my first go to trying to think of other places that have like people donate clothes. Salvation Army, uh, or Goodwill's still a thing. I'm not sure. Da, da, da. Exploding Sharpies drowning them in running alcohol uphill both ways. In 5 feet of foam scraps. Mission Mart. Ooh, I'll have to look into that. Yeah, I guess if you can find like flea markets too in your town, sometimes you'll get like little organized flea markets where people who will sell their stuff or like garage sales. If you always have like an inventory in your mind of things you're looking for projects, you never know where you're going to find it. You could just be like in a random store and be like, oh, that is exactly what I need. Facebook Marketplace, that's a good one. Yes, 100%. Local churches, yeah. Church garage sales. I've never been to one. Alexorus, I like that. Yeah, doing swaps together and like working on things at the same time. Community, absolutely. That's it's super important and sustainable. We should get like a little thing together where we all um, like our own little marketplace of local cosplayers and like put up photos of like our stashes. Made a costume out of a 4X t-shirt. Yeah. If you can find like larger clothes, you'll get a lot of fabric out of that. Costume resale. Oh, please share us. Share with us. Um, yeah, like have a section for like materials and then a section for wigs. Or even like yeah, like our tools and stuff. Like if you have tools that you're not using anymore, donate them to a friend. What's your favorite thing you have repurposed for a cosplay? Oh, I really have to think about it. I'm trying to remember. I have to like look at my costumes here. One sec. It's a great question, making me really think about this. Oh, that's not what I want. What have I repurposed for cosplay before? I mean that the curtain I had up there was like pretty cool. Oh, I did a Siri cosplay several years ago, and I used an old purse to make her corset. It was an old leather purse. It was like a very big purse. Stealing idea to remake Yennefer's. Pool noodles are great. Hell yeah. I use pool noodles a lot too. Or floor mats. Those foam floor mats are great. Thrifted bed sheets have an undying loyalty. Yes. 100%. I did talk about it in the panel. I think you missed, but yes, I was saying old curtains, tablecloths, bed sheets, great for mock-ups, making old patterns for stuff. Coscove and Lumica, best cosplay resale sites apps I mentioned before. Check those out. What else have I used for remaking things? I think I used an old like flower pot once to do a crown. Another good way you can use like old foam scraps or like fabric scraps. If you make yourself a duct tape dummy, you can use those to stuff it. So if you have like a lot of scraps, just shove it all in your duct tape dummy. The goal is to like not put things in the trash as much as possible. So I'll go back to some pictures here so people can. So yeah, this was the skirt I made out of a curtain for someone that was asking about that. And then my foam hammer with all the scraps shoved inside. Yeah, it's a lot of just experimenting too. Like Lindsay actually said this in her panel yesterday. It's like trying things out. You don't know if it's going to work, but if you think of an idea, looking at something that you wouldn't normally consider something you would use to do said thing, be like, maybe this would work. Just try it. I guess it's like a rundown of everything we said or everything I said. Um, the process of thinking sustainably when making a costume. It's having a plan, having a list of all the things you need, and then your first step is to go through what you have in your stash. Um, use what you have is like a good rule to follow. Um, and once you've seen what you have and you can use, then you go to a thrift store to find something that you can recycle from there. And then your last step would be buying new supplies for anything that you can't do otherwise. Oh yes, MDA. I did have that picture of your coleslaw. I did not end up putting in here, unfortunately. But yes, that was a really cool idea to cut up your scraps like really small and then use them as like confetti stuffing. Very smart. Hardware, yeah. A lot of big clothing stores or like big retail stores will always have like tons of cardboard you can take, and they throw out a lot of stuff too. Like go dumpster diving, see what you can find. Just make sure it's legal where you are before you do it. Plushies and small bits. I use thread scraps as stuffing. It works great and is really soft. Oh yes. Every piece of Warbler can be used no matter how small. Absolutely. What am I working on next? It would be thrifted. I'm working on another Critical Role character from the newest campaign. His name's Wakander. It's a very simple outfit. I actually already went through my stash and I found all the fabrics I'm going to use for mock-ups. Fabrics I know I'm not going to use otherwise, but they have the right. It's like the right type of fabric. So I'll be making a lot of mock-ups, and then I do have a little bit of fabric for some of the accessories that's already the perfect color. And then from there, once all my mock-ups are done, I will take them apart and measure them, and then only buy exactly what type, like exactly the amount of fabric I will need. And I also have a wig already. Um, that is, I just have to dye a little bit and probably restyle. So it will be a mostly thrifted costume. Um, and that's just one of my projects. Warbler plastic, partially made out of excess wood pulp, and the black warbler is now made from corn husks. Um, oh, I did not know that. That's so it is actually a little less bad for the environment, and I believe it's non-toxic too, warbler. All right, just a couple minutes left. If anyone else has any like little ideas that they want to add to this brainstorming. Otherwise, thank you for being here. This was fun, even though I was like super nervous and talked too fast.
No, that was great. That was great. Um, there's lots of excellent discussion going on in the chat, and I mean we have 10 minutes left, so um, let's chat a little bit about some. So like going to um, different secondhand stores to try to find things. Yeah, I was like, absolutely, first panel in a while. Everyone, that's everyone's thing.
Yeah, it's true. You guys are like, I can see like all the ideas, like all the light bulbs going off, which is great. Which means I succeeded.
You're molding brains.
I've unlocked like new tabs in people's brains and their craft brains. Because we need more tabs open, right?
But I don't know where the music is playing from.
It's on loop. Make it stop.
It's on loop. So actually, just because chat is chat, would people actually be interested in costume and fabric swaps? Because they used to have them at conventions all the time, and I haven't seen them since COVID, other than like cosplay yard sales. But like they used to have a lot more cosplay and
There used to
costume
be like a
swaps.
dedicated panel to it.
Yeah.
I remember that. We should bring them back. Biodegradable tabs. A lot of conventions now they also have cosplay lounges now where you can like get dressed at the convention and they have like a little setup so you can like if you need to do repairs or just take a little break, um, maybe getting them to have like a donation section or like a trade C section where you can like come and just like leave stuff and then like take stuff. Trash is treasure.
Well, yes, obviously it would be during the panel that you wanted to go to because that's always how scheduling works when you're doing different things.
That's why it should be like an all day thing. Like have a dedicated room to it.
Thank you so much, Shrouded Scales. That was an amazing panel and lots of chatter in the stream chat. If anyone, we can also continue this discussion in the Discord as well, because that's always fun to do. Yes, thank you.
Thank you for having me.